I've always wanted to say this. Style review! PewDiePie, the man who is racing up against T-Series, is known for seemingly bizarre choices in outfits, tattoos, beard styles, and hairstyles. Today we will answer a few questions. Do his style decisions actually make any sense? What can we learn about the way he chooses his style? And how can we apply aspects of Felix's style into our own repertoire? Hello, it is your charismatic talk show reviewer stylist, Kaz, founder of the Urban Hazard and the Facebook community Beards, Barbels, and Banner. It is lovely to have you here up in YouTuber Style Analysis, where we look at prolific figures here on YouTube. We look at their unique hair, clothing, and beard choices, and we think, hey, what are the pros and cons of these choices? What message does it send to the people around them? And how can you possibly incorporate some of this into your own life? If this interests you in any way, please press that subscribe button and the notification bell. I'd love you forever. Let's get into it. So you know me, fellas, I'm gonna start with the beard and the hair because it kind of ties into every other aspect of his unique style. So Felix has experimented with many different hair and beard styles throughout his entire career, and it seems very evident that he likes to do so, which I really like. He's gone from everything from completely clean shaven with a proper side part with his natural hair color to a more natural part with silver hair and a heavier stubble to full bearded with silver hair and a natural part, and he's gone for a couple longer styles in the past as well. So he's got a lot of good things going here for him. He's got a lot of great styles and a lot of bad styles. I'm going to highlight one main style that I really like. I think probably one of his worst styles would be when he was going for a bleach blonde and completely shaven. Unfortunately for me, not a whole lot of contrast, not enough texture, simply not a good style for him. He doesn't have the complexion. Perhaps if he had a little more stubble, I would say yes, but I'm gonna have to say no. And this next section here, when I highlight these two styles, I think anyone that kind of has a similar facial shape and perhaps, or maybe a similar, hair texture or beard coverage, you could probably benefit from this. And now I'm thinking to myself, maybe I should take some of my own advice here. I think one of the best styles that he has ever rocked, and this is because it complements his clothing choices directly, was when he was rocking about a 3-inch beard, and he had the corners growing out quite nice, the bottom was rounded off, and he had longer texturized silver hair on top that he had a couple styling options with. He could part it off to the side, or he could let it come down the face, and both styles were incredibly cool with that variation. There were a couple times with this beard length that he did get a little bit of inconsistency with styling, and sometimes on video it would just look a little sad. So I don't know what his beard styling regimen looked like, and I don't know what kind of products he had in his beard, but if I were him, I would get something like, I would get my hands on something like a heat brush. I'll put a proper heat brush down in the description, and I would get a proper beard oil so it wouldn't look so sad every now and again. But overall I think it's a really good style because I think it complements the kinds of clothing he wears directly. Right, and we know from that video that, I think it's called I'm Gonna Regret This or something like that, where he kind of shows us his whole wardrobe, which is really nice. And what we see is that he has two types of clothing. He has black clothing, and he has like extremely bright clothing. Those are the only types of two clothing he has. So, and often you do see him with really bright clothing. So, and there has been some times in the past where he's, completely clean shaven, and he's got, brighter hair on top, perhaps bleach blonde on top, and then he's wearing, very fluorescent colors down here. But the problem is, there's no sense of contrast there, and it just feels like there's something missing. It's not a synchronistic style. However, you get the light, dark, light contrast, and I think we're talking now. right? Like we're starting to see some composition from Felix that you don't really see elsewhere. I think when he started growing his beard a little past that 3-inch mark, it started to get a little bit disproportionate to you know, his mustache coverage and also his underlip coverage, which is unfortunately subpar, and I think he realized that, and that's why he shaved it off, which is unfortunate. You know, rest in peace, Pewd's beard. But let this be a lesson, guys. I don't always agree with the very, very fluorescent colors, your fluorescent oranges, your fluorescent greens, because it can be done abhorrently wrong, but it also can be done abhorrently right. Assess your hair texture, assess your beard color, and kind of see where you can add a little bit of contrast, maybe add some dye up here or something like that, to kind of create that, perhaps that's contrast there. And I think what's really, really interesting is you can really see in that video where Pewd goes into his you know, his closet, and he holds his clothing. You know, you can very see that his clothing gives him joy. Right, these very bright colors, these you know, designer brands that he tends to wear, you know, like Ad Error and all these other Japanese you know, inspired brands. You know, these are brands that he clearly loves the style of, and when he touches these, you know, pieces of clothing, you could very well see that they give him joy. Right, so I think those are the two things that you should take away from this. Right, so when you buy clothing, make sure it gives you joy, and then if it gives you joy, then try to cater as many things as you can to make that style work for you, perhaps, right? In Pewd's case, I think you know, the majority of his clothing works a lot better when he established that contrast. So if you have a darker set of follicles down here, perhaps think about growing that out. And if you're already dark up here, then maybe think about lightening it up a little bit. I might go for a blonde one of these days. I'm not entirely sure yet, but I might. And if you can't grow a beard at all, it grows out like super patchy, then come join our group, Beards, Barbells, and Banner. We're kind of like the specialists behind, you know, growing out that patchy beard of yours and filling out all the weak spots, because I couldn't grow a beard before we implemented our strategies. So go check out that group immediately. So if you guys are going to take anything away from this, find the styles that really resonate with your centrality. Find these styles, you know, the styles that when you hold them, you know, you just want to so gently, because, you know, it almost means something to you, right? You know, they bring you joy. And find those styles and make them work in the best way possible. Invest in good accessories. You know, Pewd has gone for a lot of really cool watch styles. Perhaps I'll make a whole other video on kind of his accessory choices. You know, his belts, his watches, and things of that manner. But we don't really have enough time for you know, on this video here. But anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something, a thing or two, and have a good night.